G'day, this is Scribble here, and today I'll be providing commentary on a game of MSEM, the custom equivalent of Magic the Gathering's modern format. This is my round 3 match of Grand Prix Hyderabad, and today I am running a 4-color control deck revolving around Heart of Zadina to pump up a lot of mana for a Mastery of the Veil kill condition. My opponent today is Anjana, and they are playing a Phoenix combo list, aiming to bin as many Phoenixes as they can, to recur them all with spell casts for big swings. So we are starting up a game awkwardly after having just had a mishap previously, where I accidentally was not paying attention because I was doing my commentary and loaded in the wrong deck list for our match. But thankfully that has been resolved through one of our judges. So, getting into this game properly, I will very quickly pull up my opponent's list so you can have a look at that. So yes, an Izzet Phoenix deck playing a lot of cheap spells that they can free cast off of Minajul Minnow and Plexalotl Piari, aiming to recur Myoga Firebird as a recursive beatdown threat. They also have Zerat the Soul Searcher as a top-end way of generating value. They're on a very small land count, which is interesting. Yep, so this is quite an aggressive combo deck, and I believe my deck list has a bunch of main deck Grave Hate in... no, actually I lie, I'm thinking about a previous version of the deck that I was building, so I don't think I actually have any main deck Grave Hate, unfortunately, so this deck is going to be a bit harder to face than I might otherwise like, but that's okay, let's give it our best shot. My current hand looks fairly good, so I'm going to keep 7 with this one. And best of luck to my opponent. Alright, so in our opening hand, we've got 2 pieces of turn 1 interaction. It's unlikely I'm going to be able to use out-of-body experience on anything because my opponent's only 1 mana creature has flash. Cosmic Sinkhole could be of value to use turn 1. So because of that, I'm going to start out with the Sidit Tundra just so I can cast either of these. And then probably turn to Wayfarer's Shrine, searching for a swamp so I can cast my Prying Inquiry. Okay, opponent going for a Wheat from Chaff. So I actually have to think, this is not the kind of spell that I would normally seek to counter, but my opponent really does like having these kinds of cards fill their graveyard. So I think I am actually supposed to counter this here. Going to be going against a lot of my natural control player normal expectations in this match. Alright, so let's crack the Wayfarer, get us that swamp. So we've drawn an Expose, which will be nice to be able to use some hand attack on my opponent's, on my next turn, while also holding up mana for the Clue from Prying Inquiry. Okay, so my opponent is assuming that I'm going to take Gift of the Phoenix, which is correct, because I don't really want the Firebird in their yard. Great, so for such a low land count deck, they've drawn quite well into them. Okay, my opponent has now pitched the Myoga Firebird. Great, so Oracle's Vision, each player is going to make 3 cards. Ooh, hitting 3 lands. So none of my graveyard value spells. The 4th land, not the worst thing for Simul, but I do have the Clue, so I can arrange another one. So what's my opponent hit? They've hit a flashback spell and an Against the Waves, which stacks the more of those that are in the graveyard. And they're looking to be triple casting instant sorceries, which I assume is going to happen next turn. Okay, so we've got another out-of-body experience. So at some point, I'm probably going to be able to make my way through their threats by exiling them all. So exile being pretty nice against Phoenix's decks. So I think what I'm doing here is just going for the Expose and then holding up an out-of-body experience. Okay, I do need to think about a color to hit first. And I believe I probably want to say blue. More of their red cards, I think, that they're happy having in their graveyard. So let's say blue here. Okay, ended up being the right call. Okay, so both of these are quite strong hits. So Piari can be a free cast, ends up copying their spells. Mina lets them free cast things My instinct is to take Mina because PRE is a less mana efficient play, so that makes it more ideal to hit with out of body experience. Yep, I believe that is the. So I'll take my 1 life loss from the expose. Play my forest. So now my pain lands are no longer paining me, which is nice against an aggressive deck like this. Okay, it looks like they may be able to cast that Plaxlotl after all. Yep, that will do it. So that's 2 spells cast for red and for blue. Thankfully, the second ability of PRE won't trigger this turn because they've already cast a spell with mana value 1. Apologies for all the windows that I'm going to have to keep open during this game. I do need to closely monitor what's going on in my opponent's graveyard. I assume there'll be a lot of fiddling with my tracking of what's in my opponent's hand as well, given the amount of things that they can discard quite quickly. Okay, opponent going straight for the Unceasing Flame. So possibly that they are not actually going to cast the Plaxlotl PRE. Okay, they are doing this to return the Myoga Firebird, and then possibly go for Plaxlotl afterwards. So let's take the 2 damage. I don't believe there's another Unceasing Flames in the opponent's graveyard, so 2 damage there. So I could go for the added body experience now. Yep, there is the PRE coming out. I do really want to draw into my 4th land and get the Simmel, because if I can get Simmel out, then I think I'm in quite good shape. But if I crack the clue and then whiff on my next 2 land draws, I think I may just straight up lose. So I think the conservative line here is to just go for the out-of-body experience. My opponent is tapped out, so they're not going to get value out of the Plaxlotl unless I let it survive until next turn. So I think I'm just going to go for the added body experience here. Whoops. Cool, alright. Yep, I'll try and be a bit more conservative here. If I don't draw a land, I can always crack the clue on my turn. Okay. Well, I know I'm definitely going for the added body experience, so with that I won't be able to cast the Cosmic Sinkhole anyway, so I think I do just crack the here at sorcery speed. Alright, I guess that's something I can cast next turn. So at this point, I think I just go straight for the out-of-body experience. Yeah, all of those milled lands would be nice at this point. Worth noting that my opponent has also milled over my corpse bed, which is a tutorable way of heading out on the graveyard. Okay, my opponent has deployed a Izzet the Soul Searcher, so that is going to be a difficult one to beat. Worth noting my opponent's board is entirely flyers at this point. So the tokens that I'd be getting from Simmel are not going to be fantastic blockers. Okay, well there is the 4th land. Okay, so without some form of value, Simmel is not actually looking insanely helpful. There's a good chance that whatever I try to expose, my opponent can maneuver their way around, either by casting an instant spell or after it resolves, going for a highest headquarters crack so they can refuel on their hand next turn. So the 1/1 I don't think is going to be super helpful here, so I think I'm just going to go for the untap mode and then try and cast both of my spells, or at least cast the expose and hold up the Cosmic Sinkhole. Alright, so let's go for the +1 untap these lands. Okay, I think we're going to go for blue again. I will cast it and let my opponent tell me whether or not it resolves. Oh, well, it actually matter, because their only spell was both red and blue. I'll just say blue for posterity. Alright, now that my opponent's empty-handed, I can close the hand window. Quite the number of spells in their graveyard. Okay, opponent going for the bounce. Makes sense. Alright, that's another Firebug. Yep, can't do anything about that. Looks like I'm about to be overwhelmed here. 2, 3. I don't think anything really saves me here. I mean, recall Forgotten Aeons. Well, let's spin the wheel and see what we get, but I don't think any two combination of cards I can get here actually helps me. I believe maybe there's any counter spells. No, not there. Yeah, nothing I can do there. Well played to Engineer. Alright, that is round 1 lost. Okay, now moving on to round 2, let's have a look at the sideboard. Okay, so in a bit of a weird spot because I'm not actually sure how helpful hand attack really is in this matchup. Forbidden Treasure as my way of exiling my opponent's spells feels decent. They do have a lot of spells, but a lot of those spells are very replacement level and they're just being used to recur Myoga Firebirds and fill the graveyard for Zirat. Celestial Banishment probably comes in because it answers Zirat, and the 2 creatures my opponent runs are both they both have triggered abilities, so this can counter those and kill the creature, or in the Phoenix case, just counter the triggered ability, leaves it in the graveyard. End of all things, I probably want as just more exile, and I'm just going to bring the as well anyway. Okay, so looking for what I can cut. Heavenly Radiance is probably not amazing here. Opponent has so few permanents, and most of them are recursive anyway. Out-of-body experience I definitely want to keep in. I could see bringing in stand unassailables. Though at this point I'm not sure what I'm actually cutting. Yeah, I think I cut at least 1 Mastery of the Veil, and maybe an Expose. Yeah, not too sure. Oh, I definitely want Shikai's Readout, obviously. And I'm preferring to use that as a spell rather than use it as a land play, so because of that I actually want to shave another spell. And I think with that I'm going to take out the Prying Inquiry. Yeah, seeing as I brought in the Forbidden Treasures, it seems like it makes sense to cut hand attack. Yep, okay, not 100% sure with these changes, but let's just see. So I'll be on the play here. Okay, so we've got 2 spells in hand, which is not the most ideal, but they are early interaction pieces, so I can't complain too much. I will keep this and hope to draw into more value down the line. I do have all my colors of mana, so I can't complain about that. Alrighty, opponent's going for the Oracle's Vision. Again, this is one of these moments where I feel like I'm supposed to counter this and I wouldn't normally. Yeah, my opponent filling their graveyard without me having access to a way of clearing it is scary. Alright, well we do have a Corpse Bid there. That is something that I would prefer to fetch at instant speed, but what are you going to do? Okay, so I could play the Swamp here. I partly want to use the Wayfarer, or one of the fetches, to hit my other Swamp, just to thin the deck and stop myself from drawing into too many fetches that that my later fetches end up being useless. I think that's what I'm going to do here. Yeah, Wheat from Jaff, going to resolve. Opponent can't double spell here, so if they do pitch a Phoenix, I can go and bid that next time. Okay, so those cards I don't think I'm interested in hitting with Corpse Bid. Yep, okay, so I'm going to let the Unceasing Flames happen. I can do about that. Doesn't have a trigger. Alright, that is a Plaxalotl Piari coming down. Yeah, another pretty explosive start from my opponent. And again, there's nothing I can do about it. Though Celestial Banishment into Plaxalotl next turn is going to be pretty good. So here I think I'm just going to fetch from my forest. Just get out of the way. Okay, so we're flooding out slightly. Yeah, so there's nothing that I really want to hit with Corpse Bed. I would rather wait for some high value targets, like something with Flashback or one of the Phoenixes. So at this point I think I just play the Swamp and pass, and then wait to try and kill the Piari with Celestial Banishment this turn when they go for a spellcast. Now thankfully this triggers immediately on the first spellcast. It's not a May trigger, so my opponent can't opt out of it. Alright, so nothing before main. Yep, my opponent seems like they're going for the 1-mana spell. Yep. And in response to that, I am going to counter the Piari trigger and exile Piari. Great, so I will take 3 damage from Unceasing Flames, and God, I cannot spell today. Okay, at some point these Unceasing Flames are going to start dealing a lot of damage to me, though I don't think I can really go targeting them just yet. There is a Firebird, so possibly I can hit that with Corpse Bed, though my opponent... oh, okay, alright, they don't have the 3rd spell to be able to bring it back. Oh boy, this is... haven't drawn a non-land yet, so... But my opponent is on 1 card left in hand, so let's see what we can do. So, Corpse Bed. I will be hitting the Firebird, and I suppose an Unceasing Flames. Yep, alright. Opponent knows. Okay, alright, so they don't have anything to cast. Probably just going for the clue on my turn, or maybe they're playing around counter magic. Right, okay. Well, that is a piece of interaction, so I will take that. Playing the Flooded Depths now, so that I don't have to pay 2 life for it later on. Okay, that is a Spirit Script. Yeah, sure, you can have that. Yeah, my opponent has pitched a land, so they're actually content staying on 3 lands, not wanting to go any further than that, it seems. Would rather goes to their looting effects. Alright, yep, pitching further lands and a Spell Pierce. Okay, so opponent is going to use Spirit Script second ability to have it become a copy of Unceasing Flames, so that Flames sees that as another copy of itself and does extra damage. So again, there's nothing I can do about Flames. I'll be taking that. Will be a bit sad if I end up just dying to Unceasing Flames because I don't draw into any answers for it, but okay, there is another Piari. So that is something that I can eventually kill with Celestial Banishment, but I do need to wait for my opponent to cast a spell that triggers it first. So on my upkeep, going to crack Flooded Depths to very slightly thin my library again. Though I have a sneaking suspicion that I'm going to draw another land anyway. What do I want at this point? I definitely want the second plains, or a second white source, I believe. Although I did board out my double white spell. So I think blue is probably the color that I most want, in which case I'll just Sedate Tundra. I mean, okay, alright. Cosmic Sinkhole is something. And at this point, because I'm not going to use all of my mana, I'm just going to play Renewal Grove, so I can get its condition out of the way, and then fetch on my next upkeep, so the land doesn't stay tapped. Alright, so there is that spell, so I am going to go ahead and banish the trigger, kill the Piari. Yep. Against the waves. I'm thinking I might actually... I think I am supposed to counter this with Sinkhole as well. Opponent has 3 mana, and I can go blue, black, green. Yeah, I can't let those resolve, unfortunately. Okay, opponent has cracked the clue. So they are slowing down slightly. Upkeep cracking my Renewal Grove. Missing the window where the land will stay tapped. Okay, I am... what have we got? So this will be my last basic, I believe. Just double checking. Yep, so that is my last basic out of my deck. Oh boy, more lands, here we go. Alright, again, I'm going to do the same thing. Playing the Barren Desolation tapped to save myself 2 life. Is worth knowing... I can't words today. It is worth noting that Wayfarer's Shrine in the future is not going to be able to tutor me any basics, as I have none left in my deck. Alright, so more Unceasing Flames coming. That is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, every Unceasing Flames they cast means their future draws are more likely to turn into more Unceasing Flames, so looking like I probably should have sided in those stand unassailables. Because at this point it looks like I have to counter all of them or bust. I don't think it super matters, I'll just get a green something. Green-white, I suppose. I have a lot of black now. Alright, something good. I mean... yeah, Unceasing Flames doesn't even have a trigger, so there's nothing I can hit with that. Alright, well, black, black, white, white, white. Suppose I'll play the Swamp. Yeah, at this point my opponent is so likely to draw into something that kills me here. Yep. Pretty sure... Yeah, there we go. You got me. Yeah, unfortunately getting way too flooded out in this matchup, and getting majorly punished for not bringing in my life gain. Though I think this is not how this matchup normally goes. I don't think I'm supposed to be drawing as many lands as I did. So that's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spells in 19 cards. So yeah, slightly unlucky, but what are you gonna do? That is Magic. That is why we play Magic. Um, very well played by my opponent. So the point of my deck in this Grand Prix was to try and snipe a very specific deck in Green Elemental Circle Scam, which a lot of people ended up bringing to the tournament, and was kind of the boogeyman for this month. But I have ended up playing against 0 of them in my 3 rounds, and have instead been majorly punished by 2 decks operating with a burn game plan, where I would normally have a lot of main deck life gain in my control decks, and didn't manage to fit any of them in this list because I was too set on focusing on that one specific list. So that's unfortunate, but that's how it turns out sometimes. Very well played to my opponent. They definitely brought a dark horse into this GP, with this Phoenix's deck being something that no one was really expecting, and its tempo playstyle preying pretty well, I believe, on the Scam deck that everyone was excited to bring. So very well done to my opponent for spiking the meta, and fantastic plays in this match. Great. So that'll wrap us up for today. Thanks so much as always for joining me. Keep an eye out for more gameplay videos to come, and I hope to see you all soon. Take care and peace.